Now, get ready to conquer the road with Zion Driving Instructors, conveniently located at 1782 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We are your ticket to driving success. We are known for and specialize in the best rates for driving classes, ensuring you reach your driving goals affordably and efficiently. Our expert instructors offer personalized one-on-one training, making you a confident and skilled driver. Plus, we offer convenient 5-hour classes and various packages deal to give you even more value. Ready to take the wheel? Call us today at 718-374-5678. That's 718-374-5678. Or visit ZionDrivingInstructors.com. That's ZionDrivingInstructors.com. Zion Driving Instructors, your journey to the open road starts here. Contact us and make your driving dreams a reality. Mention this ad and get a 5% off selected package.
Ride Along Live.
Yeah. Welcome to the ride. Welcome. Everybody, as you come and go ahead and share up the thing. Share up the program. Share it, share it, share it. Hey, Peace Side, Canada, in the building. How you doing? Glenda Renee. Hi, how are you? Rachel Botang. How you doing? Everybody share. Today. Let's have a discussion, eh? Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation, shall we? You know, the recently concluded press briefing that was held earlier today sort of explained a lot of government initiative plans in a nutshell. But I thought it was necessary to dive a little bit deeper into all that was discussed. I mean, it went on for about an hour or so, and I felt like there need to be some further explanation on things. So we decided to call in the voices. Yeah, the voices. Mr. Kem Jones is the voice and has been the voice on media for many, many years. He hosts a television program on his platform, a very popular voice, I should say. And he is here with us, joining us to sum up the thing and to help us put it all into perspective for us. He's no stranger to the ride. He is a friend of the ride. Also, Mr. Micheal Baptiste. He's a former Minister of Agriculture in Grenada. He's also an advocate, an agriculture man. He has been working very, very hard. He's in Grenada right now doing so much work in the livestock industry. In Hope, he's doing some major projects there and continue to be the voice whenever there is something that is, anything that's happening out there. Oftentimes you see Mr. Micheal Baptiste still speaking out, whether for or against. So he's a very strong voice that you hear from time to time. Gentlemen, welcome to the platform. Welcome to the program today. How are you guys doing?
Thank you very much, Junior, for having me on your program. And, you know, it's a popular platform as usual. And to be here with a former Minister of Agriculture, to be here with one who is invested in Grenada, the great Micheal Baptiste. It's always a pleasure to engage in a robust intellectual conversation on social media on the various platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kem. Micheal, how you doing? How you doing, my brother? How's Grenada? Okay, I think Micheal video stuck. Hopefully that is resolved. All right, so we go start out. Oh Lord, I am even breaking up. Let me change camera. Camera change. All right, that's what happens when you have multiple cameras. Micheal, how you doing? All right, we're not getting Micheal. Micheal, we encourage you to jump over on the alternative link, the Zoom link that I sent to you, because you're freezing up on the broadcast link. Micheal, jump over to the Zoom link. All right, if you could hear me. So, Kem, while we start out Micheal video and audio a bit, the press briefing that was held today, sum it up for us in your own words in terms of, first of all, there are a couple of things. I want to set the plan of of conversation. Today I want to talk about in the press briefing they spoke about the anniversary celebration and how October 19th would be deemed as a public holiday. Also, the official start of the 50th anniversary independence is that on that particular day. They also speak about, we're also going to be speaking about the naming of the national heroes and your recommendations on it. We're also going to be speaking about the street signs that would be erected as well. We will talk about the minimum wage policy in addition, because that was spoken about today as well. And Grenada policy on Crown land, particularly in the south of the island. Koala Bay project, we're going to talk about that. Gun crimes, we're going to talk about that. And the John T case. So those are the things that we are going to be speaking about. So let's first start with the issue of the celebration on the 19th. Kem, what's your take on that? October 19th, as a lot of people may say, it's a day of mourning. The former prime minister died. It's a sad day. Do you think it was a wise initiative by the government to basically make that day a public holiday? And what's your take on that announcement?
Well, Junior, thank you very much again. For me, it's two-way. It's a two-way conversation, in my view, because there are people who have been clamoring for many years for that day to be named a public holiday or made a public holiday. And they have reasons for that, right? They want to have that day to remember the late, great Maurice Bishop and what took place on that day. And there are those who say, no, let's keep the 25th and let us keep it like that because they want to remember the Americans coming into Grenada in the whole, invasion and freeing this one and freeing that one. So it's mixed. But at the end of the day, the government has to start somewhere. And I think both sides could be happy because the 25th is still a holiday. The 19th is still a holiday. And the 19th will be a holiday. And as we march towards the 50th or the 50 years of Grenada being an independent country, I think it's a fitting move by government to make that day a holiday. And that's the whole commencement of the celebration of 50 years. Huh? This is good. This is huge for a lot of people who believe for many, many years that a day should be a holiday. But I think we could meet on the middle ground, meet between, because both sides can now say, well, we have a holiday for the 25th and one for the 19th. Let's work together and move this country forward.
Yeah, yeah. I sense there was a pushback. I sense the reason why I put that topic out there, I'd have liked to get Micheal's response on it. I sense that there was a level of pushback in the room for some people saying that, the occasion, and that particular occasion, and you want to start the commencement of the 50th anniversary. That question was even posed to the Prime Minister. So I sense that there was some pushback from some in the room and people. So,
But here it is. But Junior, you remember the election was actually held on March
13th. Yeah.
And that's a very significant day too.
Yeah.
And there were people who were out there for many, many years saying, well, that is a sacred day, that is a big day, and nothing should happen on that day except X, Y, and Z. But the election was called on that day. So it's like saying, okay, this one could do it, but this one cannot. And even if the day itself is just a holiday of, remembrance and reflection, and we have to start to heal. We have to start the process of healing. So having that segment of the population who always argued that the 90th should be a holiday, well, now they will be a bit more comfortable with the announcement. I don't see it as a biggie from my end. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. Kem, we're gonna move straight on because Micheal is still sorting out his video and audio situation there. In the naming of the national heroes, Kem, I wanted to Micheal is really trying, guys, and I'm trying to see how I could pull him in as well. I really want him. Okay, I think he start out. Micheal, you there now? Micheal playing peekaboo with us. Guys, stand by. I want to get Michael's Micheal take on this, but his audio and video is playing peekaboo with us. Micheal, are you there? Mike. Ken, while we start that out,
Hello,
talk about your recommendation.
I'm here.
Micheal, are you there? Yes, Micheal. Micheal, go on the Zoom link. I sent you the Zoom link. Go on to the Zoom link. Let's do it that way. Go on to the Zoom link.
Hello.
Go on to the Zoom link, Micheal. Your video is not working properly. Go on to the Zoom link. Can you hear me better now? Mike, go on to the Zoom link. All right, guys. Let's take a quick break and let's start that out. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll start that out. We'll be right back. Don't move.
Kings of Kings 3 this Saturday, September 23rd.
The official Miami Carnival send-off.
Inside 178 Newport Street, Brooklyn, New York. Featuring live Job King. Job King. Looney Spark and Electrify. Alma Boy. Mr. Legs. Kush. From St. Vincent, Marlo. And Kemi. Representing TNT, it's Taladan. Not forgetting New York's top DJs. Hosted by Viceman Redman. Start time 10 p.m. So get there early. Get your $40 tickets now at kingsofkings3.eventbrite.com. Kings of Kings 3. The baddest fete going down this Saturday inside 178 Newport Street, Brooklyn, New York.
All right, guys. So again, we're having some problems getting Micheal video in, but I think I get him on the audio. Micheal, could you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
All right, let's stay on the phone line. That's fine. Let's just stay on the phone line because we're having some real issues getting your video inside.
Sure, okay.
All right. Okay, Micheal, let me ask you this question because Kem gave his perspective on it. During the press conference today, they spoke about October 19 being a public holiday and the commencement of the 50th anniversary of independence celebration. The 19th is a very historical day, and there was some pushback from some quarters as to why that day or why they had to have it on that particular day. What's your take on that for this year, the commencement of the independence celebration on that day and the holiday on the 19th?
The commencement of the
50th anniversary, the 50th anniversary of independence the commencement would be officially done on that particular day. I don't know if you heard that on the press conference. On the 19th, yes.
On the 19th? On the 19th?
Yes.
Well, I'll be opposed to that from the get-go. I think it should be done on the 7th. I mean, you're celebrating our 50th anniversary on the 19th of December, of the 19th of October. Morris Bishop and his clique fought against independence. As a matter of fact, I don't think Kem was born yet, but I let's go back to February 7th, 1974. The flag was hoisted under Masanto. We had a national blackout. The Committee of 22, headed by Bishop and others, the churches and all that, they did everything possible to derail that day, Grenada getting independence. You know, the Prime Minister is someone that I like very much. I think he has some roots from Munich, my area up there, and maybe some blood roots as well. But, you know, during the election campaign, I was a little offended when I heard the Prime Minister asking folks to take off their phones in commemoration of Morris Bishop. I had some issues with that. I had some issues when he said, too, that Morris Bishop left a free Grenada. I had lots of issues with that. I didn't. I think to me that was inappropriate at the time. That was a divisive statement. Morris Bishop did not leave a free Grenada. When Morris Bishop died, there were over 4,000 persons in Richmond Hill Prison. Some of them were there without a charge, without a trial, not knowing when the matter would be heard, including the Prime Minister's uncle, Ulala. So now coming and talking about celebrating our independence on the 19th,
No, the
I would have thought
commencement.
that
The commencement is not the celebration. Yeah.
the commencement of independence should have taken place on Sir Eric Gary's birthday. He's the one who fought bravely to ensure that Grenada got independence against all odds. I mean, don't forget, from 1974 up to 79, the only one set of people in Grenada celebrated independence, and those who are the supporters and followers of the late great Sir Eric Gary. So to come now to tell me you're going to commence it on March 19th, I think that is a total insult to the people who gave the blood, sweat, and tears in fighting to make independence possible. Morris Bishop was one of those that was against independence. So let's get that straight.
Right. Kem, anything you want to chime in? And also the making the 19th a holiday onwards. The Prime Minister did announce that the 19th would be a holiday going forward. Your take?
Well, I think I have no problems with the 19th being a holiday. And here's why. I mean, during the 60s leading to the 70s, there were turbulent years in Grenada. A lot of political wars were fought in the streets and whatnot. And in March 13th, 79, those who were against independence, those who were against Eric Gary, succeeded with a coup d'etat. They got into power and they self-destruct. We remember very well how most of them were lined up on the fort and their heads were blown off. As of today, we have yet to have our official burial for Morris Bishop. I mean, Morris Bishop was a Grenadian patriot, regardless of how we see him, whether we support him or not. He was a Grenadian patriot, and I have no problems for Grenada being a solemn day on October 19th to pay tribute and to pay respect to all those who lost their lives on the fort. So I would have no problems with that. I think it's a day, it should be a day of national prayer, and we should pray that type of divisive politics never re-enter Grenada, so we could see this barbaric actions that were taken by the supporters of the PRG on that dreadful day.
Kem, any input? Kem, your audio muted.
Now, for me, I agree that the 19th should be a public holiday, and again for reflection, again for remembrance. And two fractions. You have people who say the 25th should remain a holiday, and there are those who are clamoring for the 19th. So they're all happy. Well, we hope that they're all happy now, because the 25th, those who won that, they got it. The 19th, those who won that, they have it, or it will be realized on the 19th. So it's all good on both sides. Let's see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it.
Well, let me chime in here a little bit again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is so unfortunate that something like our 50th anniversary, we are mixing it up with a group of people who are totally against our independence. I think the 50th anniversary should be a time when we look back at our history from 1951 up to 1974. It is a time when we should reflect on the life of the late great Sir Eric Gary, his contribution to Grenada, and and the efforts that he has made in ensuring that Grenada move away from colonialism, and at a time when he fought not just colonialism, he also fought racial discrimination in Grenada. A lot of our history have not been told, and it is rather unfortunate that at this point in time we are not updating our history. You know, one of the things I think where we have some deficiencies in teaching Grenadian history. Uh, and here we have an opportune time, and instead of highlighting the life and the works of Eric Gary, we are now overshadowing that with a group of people who try to derail our independence. And I think that is unfortunate.
Okay. So you're saying that focus should have been placed more on Sir Eric Matthew Gary, who was
Well,
instrumental
you cannot talk about
independent.
independence.
Yes.
You cannot talk about independence. You cannot celebrate independence without reference and Eric Gary taking center stage. This Grenada independence, and I will tell you, Grenada independence was the work of Eric Gary against lots of civil unrest, civil disobedience, the civil war, a national strike, and all of that. I don't think our 50th anniversary should be dedicated to Maurice Bishop and his gang. I have no problems with they getting a holiday. I mean, they are Grenadians. A lot of terrible things happened that day, and it's a day for reflection. We should have a national day of prayer. But to take our independence, our 50th anniversary, and tying it with Maurice Bishop, I think again we're trying to deny our history. I think it is a time when we should be celebrating the life of Eric Gary. We should be trying to go back and reflect and teach our people the real history of Grenada and how Grenada was from 1951 up to 1974. I don't think it is a time that we should be talking anything about Maurice Bishop and his gang.
Okay. Kem, isn't he right to say that if we have to focus on independence, you can't say independence without focusing on Eric Matthew Gary?
Well, you see, Junior, Micheal Baptiste is a Garyite. He's a GULP. He's a Gary man.
No, Garyite, indeed.
And yeah, he's a Garyite. He's a Gary man. In fact, his party, I don't know if he changed, but he's generally a man in white. He's a Gary man. He's a man of the star, right? A little red, a little white. But I want to say this. I am extremely happy with the move by this government to start off the 50th anniversary or independence, our independence, 50 years of independence in this country. It's not that so Eric Matthew Gary is not being highlighted. It is just the commencement, the start of the 50 years of independence. We have Humpton days to celebrate. So Eric Matthew Gary. It's just that we are commencing, the process is commencing starting on the 19th, and it will be a holiday going forward. As I stated, look, there are people who will tell you bad things about Sir Eric Matthew Gary, and there are people who are going to tell you good things about him.
Right.
But we have to respect his contribution to this country. We have to respect the contribution of the late, great Maurice Bishop to this country also, and the others. And look, I am saying, so Eric Matthew Gary did a lot for this country, and we need to recognize that. Independence, yes, he fought, but he didn't do it alone. He did it with a lot of people. But we're not giving everybody recognition. He will be recognized, and he must be recognized. And we have how many months? 4 or 5 months to do so. So, in fact, maybe from the 20th of October, we can start recognizing Sir Eric Matthew Gary until the 7th of February. At the end of the day, we have to understand, to heal, to build, to transform, to move this country forward, we can't be that stuck or bitterly stuck in a hole or a cobweb situation where all we do is say, this man should not be, that one should be. At the end of the day, look, people will, and look at Kem Jones. I'm not a Garyite, right? I read history books of Sir Eric Matthew Gary, some good, some bad,
Right.
but the majority good. But at the end of the day, let us appreciate the fact that the 19th, it's a significant day in our history. The 25th, a significant day in our history. February the 7th, a significant day in our history. And even leading up to the 7th, a significant day. So, look, we are moving forward. I am happy that the government decided to make that day a holiday. And I look forward to having Sir Eric Matthew Gary made a lifetime hero of this country and placed in that park that they intend to set up for him and also for the late great Maurice Bishop.
Yes.
Maybe Micheal Baptiste can be there too, because I believe he deserves that.
Yeah, and that was another statement that was made by the Prime Minister, making naming 3 to 5 national heroes, right? But they are looking for a recommendation, and you guys are pretty much on the ground. You know what's happening. You understand the historical aspect of it. Who do you think should be some of these people? What kind of recommendation that you have in regards to these individuals that would be called national heroes? Any recommendations, Micheal?
Well, off the top of my head, I mean, I could think of a lady in Grenville, that would be Alexander. I think she's worthy of being called a national hero. She fought for women's rights when it was not popular to do so. She fought for equality among Grenadians at the time, for Grenadians at the time when people of your and I complexion could not work in the bank. Look, there's a whole lot of things about Grenada that we need to introduce as part of our modern history, a part of our history. Now, I don't have a problem with recognizing October 19th. I have no problem with reference being made with Maurice Bishop, but we cannot start off our 50th anniversary, such a historic time. We cannot start off on the wrong yard line. We must get it right.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about independence is Eric Gary, and he should be highlighted at the opening of from the get-go on the opening of the 19th, and at the ending of the whole commencement of the 50th.
But of course, there will be others. He amongst others.
Let's face it, Junior and Kem. And you know, Kem probably was not. I don't think he was born at the time, because Kem is a kid. And no disrespect to you, Kem. You're a young man, very young man. You don't even know the history of Grenada, because I'm sure you don't know the time when people used flour bag to make shots. You don't know the time when women used to carry the cocoa baskets on their head, and when they got pregnant, they had to leave the babies home 2 days after giving birth. They had to go back to work. You don't know the time when Eric Gary stood up and fought for black people working in the banks. You don't know the time when he fought for our mothers having to call the children of what we call the Bakra sa, as they used to say, as you said then. So there was a lot of work that was done prior to independence. If you're going back to 1951, the Pension and Gratuity Act today, the pension and gratuity that we're looking at today, that this government rightfully paid out.
Right.
That was an act that took place in 1958. And you know how it came about? It came about as a result of the 1951 revolution. At the time, we were a colony, and we did not even have parliament at the time. There were no parliament. We had a legislative council. And the administrator of the time, when Sir Eric Gary proposed this Pension and Gratuity Act, the administrator at the time, the white man, was so afraid that should they veto that Pension and Gratuity Act, they would see a repeat of what happened in 1951 when scores of people, when so much people died in Latin Junction fighting the British Army, the British regiment, so that Grenadians can get a better life. So
Yeah.
it's a long history.
Right.
And Morris Bishop was nowhere wrong at the time. Morris Bishop played no role.
Yeah, but who are the people? Because we're talking about the national heroes. Who are these people?
Well, there should be a separate day for national heroes. You cannot confuse independence with national heroes. If you want to have a National Heroes Day, which I have no problem with, we could talk about Morris Bishop.
No, but we're talking about talking about appointing national heroes. So the conversation in the press conference today was the naming of 3 to 5 national heroes, which names would be placed, names would be announced, and also given some sort of monument in a newly constructed National Heroes Park.
I thought the Prime Minister again, he bowled outside the half stump with that. What the Prime Minister should have said was appoint three other people along with Eric Gary, because beyond any reason of a doubt, Sir Eric Gary is our national hero. I mean, and it's a recognized national hero. Morris Bishop can also be added in that group. But when you're talking about national hero, the first person name that should pop up is the late great Sir Eric Gary.
Right.
And I would have no problems if Bishop is included somewhere along the way. But to talk about national heroes, look, Grenada had a long history of turbulence.
Right.
And Eric Gary started it in 1951.
Right.
From 1951 up to 1974, Grenadians were living just like the blacks were living in South Africa. Okay?
Right.
If you look at the lands today, there were some estates that were taken by the late Sir Eric Gary and the GLP. And these estates were taken because some of these owners, we call them Bakra,
right,
they had no title for these lands.
Hold on, but it's just
according to the Acquisition Act, you should pay someone for the property right away.
Yeah.
They could not come forward because they own this land by merely the color of their skin.
Right. Stick a pin right there, Baptiste. Stick a pin right there, right there. I know, and listen, that's why I like you, because you have great historical recollection. But Kem, chime in here a little bit, right? Based on what Micheal Baptiste said, it should have started, and I mean, of course, we know where Micheal Baptiste stands in terms of his representation and advocacy for the former Prime Minister, Eric Gary. He should start with him. They should be him plus whoever else as an approach to national hero. What's your feedback on what Micheal is saying?
Right. Well, Micheal said I was not there, and I agree, I was not there. But to say that I don't know is incorrect when it comes to history. There are books, there are records, there are documents, there are everything there to get to the point where you know, right? So I was not there to experience it in person, but there is enough history books to read and get information. We are not living in 1310. But then moving on, I want to say to you, we are on the same page. So Eric Matthew Gary should be made a national hero. The late great Morris Bishop should be made a national hero. And we can add one or two others. It's just up to the Grenadian people. And that's what it is. I'm not going to go and argue about, history and who had it this way and that way. I look forward to going to that national park or that park for heroes and seeing monuments, seeing whatever brands, gold, silver, whatever, statue, whatever you want to put up there, of the late, great Maurice Bishop and Sir Eric Matthew Geary. And you can add some more. I have no problem with that.
Right. Right. All right. So let's move on from that one, because I think in a lot of ways we're striking some common grounds. We are striking some common grounds. Kem and Micheal Baptiste agreed that the late great Eric Geary should be named as a national hero. So we good at that point, Micheal, because Kem agree with you. And we can move on.
Oh, sure. Well, I and Kem usually agree on a lot of things, I mean, it's just sometimes lately we throw jabs at each other, but I have no problems with Kem. Kem and I were allies for a lot of years, fighting for a common cause. So
Yeah.
I have no problem with him.
Okay, jabs. I don't know about any jabs. I didn't hear about that one. Okay, all right, guys. So let's move on. Let's move on to the policy, right? The land use policy, right? The on Crown lands, particularly in the south, transferring of this property by leaseholding versus freehold. Kem, give us some more perspective from your understanding about what went wrong in that particular project, and do you think that Grenada actually won in the reclaiming of this property, which cost a total of about $22 million US?
Right. So firstly, Junior, we must understand that this was a citizenship by investment project. So there were people overseas, wherever, who were not Grenadians and they wanted Grenadian citizenship. They could either invest in the trust fund by just putting their money there and get their citizenship, or they could go with a project, a CBI project,
Right.
and put their money in there with the hope that they would get return over a period of time. The previous administration had a really nice relationship with that particular investor. He was made ambassador in Miami, if not ambassador, but consul general, something of that sort. He was made some diplomat in
Right.
Miami.
Yes.
What happened with that relationship? It got sour, and as a result, the individual who was running the show here in Grenada decided this man did not put hard cash into this project, and as a result are stopping everything, even those that were approved, those passports and money approved for that project are stopping everything, and have the man put his own money in the project. But the project was far gone, far gone. In fact, it was the only project in 20 or so projects that were approved during that particular time to actually get started. The individual involved in that project accounted for every cent as received on a quarterly basis. So the money received on a quarterly basis, he accounted, he fall in line with what was required. The project was going good. We had men and women working. And if you go down there now, the project is not far from completion.
True.
The next 1.5 years to 2 years, that should be functional. Nevertheless, the arrogance as usual. We saw what a said individual, we heard and we saw the display at the parliament, the kind of rhetoric coming from a said individual regarding the investor, the developer. The developer, we know, took the matter to the international court. Because if you stop the source of the financing, I can't get the finance to complete the project, then I have to take it to the international court for, settlement of disputes and so on.
Right.
The tribunal. And that is what he did. What they asked the tribunal for is for $111 million US compensation. That is the kind of money they were asking for. But the investor knows fully well that the government of the past had a very dark track record in that particular court. We saw what transpired with WRB/Grenlec against the government, where the government had to find almost 200 million EC to settle up that whole thing. you're talking about 58,427,962 compensation for WRB. Then there was another portion of compensation, 239,000 US. US, I'm talking 972,037 cents. And then you had the lawyers because the government lost, so they had to pay the lawyers $6,333,142 That's the lawyers alone. And then they had to come and pay government lawyers 8.1 million US. So you're talking about almost, when you convert, almost 200 million EC to get back going. Like, okay, this particular matter with the hotel, government already started paying thousands and thousands of US dollars for legal fees. And there was a great probability, if you ask me, that the government would lose that court matter. But it took the wisdom of this brilliant team. Everything doesn't have to be confrontation. Everything doesn't have to be a court issue and a bacchanal. In fact, even in our local court system, they go through certain stages where you can mediate, where you can sit and case management and see how you could resolve things and all these different things before you reach to the final matter, the final court matter, where you have the hearing and all those different things. What this government did prudently is to meet with this particular investor and their team and see how they can settle. And look at the settlement. The settlement speaks to government paying 22 million US. Government then gets back the land, because the land was given by the previous administration to this particular investor. Freehold, meaning title. He owned the land. He didn't have to negotiate the land, or give back the land. In fact, that was not a matter before the court.
Right.
That was not the matter before the court. But in the deal, in the settlement, it was agreed that the land will come back to the people of Grenada,
right,
the government and people of Grenada, and the property will come back to the government and people of Grenada. The government can then now, as they indicated, they indicated that there are potential investors who want to invest in this particular property. They can then sell them the property as is to complete with the agreement that they would complete it, so our men and women can get work there, right? And they can sell it for more than the 22 million that they actually sign on to this deal for.
Right.
Also, they would be able to now put the land in leasehold. So they're going to lease the land. Right, instead of freehold. So the land belongs to us. And I think that's what, and Micheal will be very happy, because the late, great Sir Eric Matthew Geary was that type of person who believed that the lands should remain in the hands of our people. That is why he leased most of the lands, well, nearly all the lands that on Grandland's Beach and so on. He leased the lands for 99 years. It was only a particular prime minister, I call him the old cock, who decided to give freehold to everybody. You can go back to Radisson, that piece of property, 20 acres, 20-something acres. They gave to some non-Grenadian who had some grandfather who had some kind of connection with Grenada, right, or Grenadian. And they say, well, you're going to market Grenada. All you see is his dog with a flag, not a Grenada scarf, or a scarf with a Grenada flag on it. I am simply saying it's a good deal. It's a win-win for Grenada, and that's the way to go.
Micheal, was it prudent? Was it a good deal? Or is it a good deal by the constructor of that particular deal? Or do you think that it should go to arbitration? You should have left it to go to the court?
Well, I listened to my brother Kem. And what I would say is that sometimes we in Grenada, we see things based on the side that we are standing. I am not here carrying water for anybody. Now, when this fly-by-night investor enter in Grenada, we call them fly-by-nights, and that's how we call them, Kem included. We call them fly-by-nights. And we say too that they are here to feather the nest. We say that. That investor was brought here by the former government. they had a very good relationship. The relationship fell apart. And we heard from the leader, the prime minister, the former prime minister, that this investor was asking for too much, way more than the estimated cost of the project. And they felt that they have given enough of Grenadian resources to that investor, and there should be a halt. Now, yes, Grenada lost a lot of cases before the court. Lots of cases Grenada lost. But possibility Grenada could have won that one. Because how I see it is that with the CBI, the government allows the investor, the passport, the CBI hold out to sell the passports, raise money, and use the resources, the receipt from the sales of this passport to start a project here. We gave him lands, not his lands. We gave him passports, not his passport. I am reliably informed that part of the agreement is that the investor is allowed to keep his passport, and he's getting $22 million of money that's not his. It's not his money. He did not lay out a dime. They sold passports. And we allowed them to keep the passports, over 300 of them. This passport should have been returned, it should be recalled, just like we said when NNP was in power. If a fly-by-night investor run afoul of the law, we should recall his passport. The same thing that we said when NNP was in power, we have to say it now. Why are they holding the passport?
Junior,
Yeah, Kem.
I don't want to butt in. I like to listen. It is unfair for Micheal Baptiste is saying that this gentleman run afoul of the law. That is incorrect. You're actually taking the side
That's
of
not
a
right.
man who told you that he found oil and gas. You're actually taking the
But
side
hold
of
on.
a man who brought in
Kem,
the shrimp farm
Okay,
fiasco, where 18 or so people bought in. They got passed.
hold on, Mike, hold on. Okay.
Let's make it believe that this was Parliament, and I had the flow, Kem. Let's agree on how we go conduct this discussion. We're doing good so far, but let's say it's a parliamentary debate. You had the floor. I listen and I pray and I beg that you do the same.
Right.
When I say you run afoul of the law, I'm not talking about this individual. I'm talking about other fly-by-night investors that run afoul of our laws.
But we're not saying
money.
Michael, we're not saying that particular individual wanna fall off the law in this particular case here, because that does.
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
I'm not saying that at all. Let's get that clear.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there was an agreement between this investor and the former government.
Right.
There was an estimate. There were passports given to that investor. That investor sold the passports, our passports. He collected huge fees. He collected huge fees at the sale of his passport. Sometimes what they collect, this fly-by-night investor, what they collect on the sale of a passport is more than what reaching our consolidated fund. So the $22 million that we're giving him is not his money.
Right, but should
It
we
is not
risk?
his money.
Should they have risk the option of the 22 million, or go into court and have to pay over $100+ million when it's a possibility that you might lose if you go to court?
When you look at the facts, you know, sometimes you could go to the court like a burglar, or sometimes a common criminal can go to the courts many times, and because you are a repeated offender, that may be used against you in some cases.
Right.
But that does not mean that the repeated offender cannot win a case too. And I agree, we lost several cases before the courts, and some of it unnecessarily, and it put us at great financial risk.
Right.
What I'm saying here, my brothers, is that this guy here had no money, just like the foul farm guy, the guy in the shrimp farm. This guy had no money. We gave him lands. We gave him more passports to sell. He sold the passports. He collect commission, huge commission. And now we're giving him $22 million. What is in it for we the Grenadian people? It's our lands.
Right.
It's our money. It's our passports.
Okay, let's get Kem to
And
chime in.
we allow over 300 of them to keep their passports and call themselves Grenadians. If they don't want to do business with us, they want to take us to court. We gave them lands. We gave them a passport. They sell it. They make money. And they want to take us to court. You know what we should do? We should say, let's have a clean break. I want back my passport.
Okay, let's get Kem on this here. So, Kem, you have the floor, Kem.
Right.
As Michael said, let's make believe it's Parliament, which is really not. It's not Parliament. But
Yeah,
Kem,
well,
go ahead.
I have a tendency of just listening.
Parliament procedure.
Okay,
You
so
talk, I talk.
okay, so let's Kem.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Here is, Junior, we must set it clear. This investor is a clean investor. He is not a convestor like those who came in, robbed the state, and did nothing like Mount Hartman, E.J. Ekram Miller, or the shrimp farm folks or the chicken farm under the NNP administration. This investor is clean. Not only that, he, as I told you, that particular project, in all the 20 or so projects that were approved, that's the only project that actually get off the ground and reach to that stage. Also, it must be stated, there are people with brilliant ideas, and they engage people who are willing to pay into it to see it materialize, to become a reality. Would you then say, well, the person did not put in money? Will you then say that investor should not be worthy of the property or the project or be worthy of profit sharing? Ideas in some instances is worth more than money. The mere fact that he was engaged to commence to start a project like that, and the mere fact that people buy into it, put money into it, they had confidence in the individual. And the state had confidence in the individual. The individual is actually reporting quarterly accurately so. So to then decide abruptly, well, boy, that project is attracting a lot of money, and as a result, we're going to stop all the money that's coming in, we're going to keep it, and we will then say to the individual, find your own money, your personal money, and put into the project. Now, that was not the original agreement. The original agreement was, it's a CBI-approved project. People going to invest in it. They will get their citizenship. They will get their passport, and the money will be used to construct the project. That's basic common sense in law. So you cannot just abruptly say, I am seizing all the funding, all the money, because the property is now costing a little more or plenty more, and X, Y, and Z is the case, and I'm not giving you the money, find your money, so the project going to just halt, remain there as a white elephant on the hill. That can't work in court. Court is common sense. The original agreement as part of the Citizenship by Investment project, that program and project in this case, is that this investor with this idea, this brilliant idea, this plan to build a hotel will then apply to us, submit everything that's required. We will then look at it. It will be approved or denied. It was approved. And as part of the approval, people are going to buy in. And mind you, nobody's forced to buy into that project, invest in that project, They have 20 projects they could have invested in the others. Right. They decided to have confidence in this individual and invest in that particular project.
But what about the passport, Kem? What about the passport and the citizenship?
Okay, the passport has nothing to do with this particular investment. The people invested their money, just as you have folks who are investing their money straight into the National Transformation Fund. Right. They have nothing to get. They have no return to get. No, they put in their money, and that's it. Government use it how they want to use it.
But Michael was disputing the fact that the citizenship...
There is risk in investment. They invest their money in this particular project. This particular project goes sour with NNP administration and whatever the matter end up in court and so on. The settlement has been reached. In fact, if they believe that they have interest in this particular project, the government is saying, come forward. But why take the passport? What that has to do with this particular matter? Right. when they already paid for their citizenship to get their passport and everything? So if we then do that, then other people who intend to invest in the other
Michael, let
projects,
you finish. Let you wrap up, and then Mike,
if we go ahead, and I'm wrapping up now, if we go ahead and take these people passports, the people who are interested and who invested, in fact, in other projects under the CBI, they will be scared. They would never want to invest, and our program will lose a significant amount of money. That is what the NNP hope to achieve, and that will not be achieved. In fact, let me make one point. Remember, the shrimp farm, 18 people, 18 Canadians or so, bought passports, and invested in that project. 52-point-something million just vanish, not a cent, not a hotel that was constructed or any shrimp farm was constructed. In fact, this particular project, at least, you can go down where Flamboyant Hotel used to sit and see that particular property. You can see where the money went to and used. We could go in Manhattan, we cannot even see a goat down there, right? We can go into Livera, same thing. We can go in, and Micheal Baptiste knows. I am simply saying this investor is a bona fide investor, a clean investor, and I think it's a good move that the NDC administration made to settle these matters, because here it is. All we need to do is to do the calculation. In legal cost alone for the WRB/Grenlec versus Government of Grenada under the NNP administration in that same court, that international tribunal, right? The legal cost alone amounted to almost $15,000.
15 million.
15 million, sorry. Almost 15 million US. That's the legal cost. So you're saying to me that this particular matter, the legal cost would not be almost the same thing? And it will drag on and drag on and drag on too?
Right.
Stop here.
Yeah, Michael.
Well, I hope you're checking the time and you're giving me equal time to respond.
I swear, Mr. Speaker, I didn't come with that time at this time around, Michael. If I didn't know, I would have.
No,
But go ahead.
no, my brother Kem, you've made history tonight. It is the first time that I've heard you said an NNP brought a legitimate investor in Grenada, because you and I said over the years that it's fly-by-night investors. Is it because the new government is dealing with them? Now let me say this. Let me add this. That investor gave lots of campaign contribution to the new National Party. I'm told. I am sure he did the same thing to the other parties as well.
Well, we don't know that to be a fact. So that's speculation.
No, I didn't say it. I said, you don't know what I said. I said for a fact he made contributions to the new National Party.
Right. But we don't know if he made contribution to the NDC.
They all do.
And no, but to be fair, Junior, Michael, I think it's alleged, it's unconfirmed that happened in both parties.
In both parties, right.
Save
We don't
Junior
have to.
here.
Yes.
I think it's important that he put in here that it's
I
alleged.
have no problem. No problems at all in going with the word unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed
So
or
let me-
alleged,
let-
because
let-
we don't know that to be a fact
Let
that was on either side.
Let me continue if I may, please.
Yes.
It is alleged that that gentleman gave financial contribution to both political parties. And during the last campaign, it is alleged too that several supporters of this of the National Democratic Congress was at the home of this gentleman. They were not there watching movies. They were there, of course, on soliciting support, whatever support, whether it is moral support or otherwise, they were there soliciting support, and nothing wrong with that. Let me say, there's nothing wrong with that, because we have no campaign finance laws. So you get your money wherever you can. But what is so interesting now is that we were able to settle with this gentleman and a sweetheart deal. And the monies that Kem said they put in monies, I would give him a chance again to come back to that. They didn't put in a penny. We sold our passports. We allowed that gentleman to sell our passports. And through the sale of the passports, monies were raised and monies was invested in that project. That's our money, our land, our money. Let me just give you another example. The government some time ago called a press conference at the Trade Center. And Kem, I am not here carrying water for nobody. I'm just Micheal Baptiste, a Gariite. I am not here carrying water for nobody. Okay? So let's
Okay.
get that clear because sometimes people get confused. When I say things, they believe I am advancing the political ideas of other parties. I'm not. I'm just a Gariite. Micheal Baptiste, Gariite. Now, the government called a press conference at the Trade Center. Or may I say, it was a national address. And they said a Polish citizen. They found a Polish citizen that paid $100 and something in the consolidated fund for a passport.
Right.
And he paid, and he paid, and he gave other monies to a political party as campaign contribution.
And let me
And I
add this.
heard
Let me add
things
this,
that
Michael. Let me add this, Michael. That the tracking information, the bank tracking information, was submitted to the media, and it did in fact. The bank tracking information did in fact state that. But go ahead.
now you need clarity on that because what you're saying here you leave doubts to the audience, and you know that is a well that program that you're doing here now have high listenership, you know. So the things that we say must be clarified for the avoidance of doubts.
Well, I think I'm very
So
clear to state
what
that
I'm saying,
the bank tracking information was submitted to the media organization that did in fact showed a banking information to the NNP group, so something like that. I don't have the exact bank information because I mean I could
I
pull it
know
up.
what you I know you're going I know you're going to that NNP constituency office, NDC constituency office does not have the permission for the finance and store rules to collect money on behalf of government.
Okay.
If the gentleman gave monies to a constituency fund, that is his money, that is his business. That have nothing to do with the consolidated fund. So, but in that press conference, it was said that the guy gave, the Polish citizen gave $150,000 he paid to the consolidated fund for a passport. And you know, we're talking about righting the wrongs. And in that press conference, it was said that that money would not be given back to him and he will not get his passport. So here I am saying that there were two instances. This guy did not take us to the International Settlement and Dispute. He cried out that he paid the government of Grenada legitimately in the consolidated fund for a passport. I don't know if the same...
Michael, will you permit me to say to you here, it's a diplomatic passport and not just a passport you're referring to?
Please, I give way, Clem. Make your point.
Yeah, right. So he's saying that he wants clarification. You want to make that clear. Go ahead, Kem.
Just saying to you that you're speaking specifically here about a Polish individual, and it's a diplomatic passport he was actually seeking to buy and not an ordinary passport. So I just want that to stick in here. But you can continue.
Right. Good. Your point is well made and noted and accepted. But he paid money into the consolidated fund. The consolidated fund represents the government of Grenada. An emphasis was made on what he paid to a constituency office, which is none of our business. Neither you, I, or Junior, but we could make reference to that. But he was told there was a marriage between what that person paid for a passport and what he gave to a constituency fund. And what I heard the utterances was that he would not be given his passport. What I'm saying here, how is it we justify giving back these investors, whoever they are, because you now certify them as legitimate? It's the first time I've heard you mention any investor as legitimate investor. How you justify giving them back their investment and allowing them to keep their passports, and that Polish citizen who deposited his money into the consolidated fund, we were saying we would not give him his passport. How we justify that? I give way to you to explain that, Ken.
Right. So Junior, it is very clear that we are dealing with ordinary passport versus a diplomatic passport. So the Polish gentleman was seeking to trade in diplomacy to buy a diplomatic passport. Grenada has a policy, and in fact, under the NNP, they were telling me and you, or you and I, that they don't sell diplomatic passports. They don't trade in diplomacy. And in fact, it is wrong to sell a diplomatic passport. The ordinary passports.
May I just interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead, no problem.
If someone is given a title of a trade counselor and he has to enjoy diplomatic immunity and to be presented as a diplomat so that he could enjoy the benefits of he purchasing that passport, what's the difference?
No, I'm simply saying that it was a policy of government not to sell diplomatic passports. And in fact, that individual was not appointed any diplomatic positions at the time. That is why that said transaction and the whole passport and everything did not go through. It was just before the election that whole thing took place. Nothing was finalized for the individual except there is record to show that he was pursuing a diplomatic passport for 150,000 US. And then on the same vein, the individual transferred 140,000 US to a political party bank account in the South, and we then know it was then discovered that who is a political party and what account it was deposited in or transferred to. But I'm simply saying here, Michael, we're talking about a situation where people invested in a project, and it is under an approved project, the Citizenship by Investment program, and that project fell under it, and we saw the whole construction, everything taking place. The money that was received was utilized for that particular project. So there is no question as it relates to whether the money that he received was not utilized for that project. That there is no question on both sides. Even when the individual stood up in Parliament and started rah-rahing, there was no doubt that the individual accounted for every cent. Hear this also. There are people with brilliant ideas, Michael, for example.
When I give way for you to make a point, I don't mean for you to take the whole night.
Let me just make a last point. No problem. A last point. You're in the poultry business, as Junior said, and one day I wish to visit your farm also. You're in the poultry business. You might have the idea. Pigs, right? So you're doing pigs and so on. Good. And that is needed. Congratulations. You might have that brilliant idea to start a pig farm. You may not have the cash, but you have that idea, you have your plan well set out. You then approach 20 investors and say, look, I have this brilliant idea. If you invest in this project, if you invest in me, this will come true and you will get X and Y dividend, X and Y profit out of it. It is a similar situation with this Citizenship by Investment project, where you have the investor, this particular investor, who was named, I think, ambassador or consul general and so on, who said, I have an idea. And the idea is to build this hotel, and I want it to fall under the Citizenship by Investment project, where people can invest in it to make it a reality. The people then on the CBI end, approved the project because they saw it as a viable project, a good project. And the people who wanted a passport had the option to choose the other 19 or 20 or so projects that were done for that particular year that were approved. They chose the individual, right? They chose him, this particular project. And they put them in it. And to be fair to them, they actually see what their money was used for.
Right. All right. Let's get Mike back, and I hope, guys, we could do like about another half an hour. I know Kem has his program top of the hour, so we're going to give him enough time.
Junior, when you're bringing on the two guys with the loudest mouth in Grenada, you can't come for.
No, I don't mind it at all. I just want to make accommodation. I know
But
we have a hard stop for Kem to do his program.
you cannot bring me and Kem. You can't bring me and Kem for 35, 40 minutes. Because, Kem speak volumes and so do your humble servant.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, let's go back a little closer to home now. Now, this settlement here was not budgeted, but we reached an agreement with the foreigners, the white investors. And we are now asking the Grenadian people.
Why you say why you gotta call him out by color though? The investor. Is it necessary to say white, pink, blue, or purple?
Yes, it is necessary.
Okay. Why is it necessary?
The point I'm trying to make, it's necessary to do so. Okay.
Okay.
This government reached a settlement with these white investors, where we are giving them back monies that belonging to us. That was never budgeted for. Now, how do we reconcile taking away $150 from people who have given their blood, sweat, and tears in building this land, some of them elderly, disabled, poor, crippled, at home? How do we reconcile taking that away from them and then turning around and giving such a sweetheart deal? We are selling the very said passports that these elderly, vulnerable people created. The people who created the situation for us to get independence, for us to have our own passport.
Right.
We are now giving these passports to some white settlers, and these vulnerable, poor people, some of them depending on that money to buy medication, we are taking that away from them, but we are giving this sweetheart deal to some white foreigners who sell our passports.
But let me ask you a question, Michael. The two ends of this equation is one, the $22 million that is a set amount, or risk losing almost 100 and something million, and you don't know the outcome.
That is a supposition. We could have very well won that case, because when you look at the facts,
at what cost? At what cost in terms of the legal fees and all compounding costs?
I am not here carrying water for nobody,
Right.
I want that to be quite clear.
Right.
I am not a representative of no opposition party or nobody. I am speaking here as Micheal Baptiste.
Yes.
Okay, I'm speaking, and I'm championing the cause of the poor and vulnerable, the people who gave their blood, sweat, and tears when Maurice Bishop came and he dismantled the Provident Fund. He dismantled the Provident Fund that was set up in 1969 by the late great Sir Eric Gary. The Provident Fund provided monies for them in the golden years. When Bishop dismantled the Provident Fund and he turned it into NIS, and some of these poor people went home without a pension and gratuity, without a back pay, because Sir Eric Gary in his wisdom created two pension schemes. One for public officers, because he said never again shall Grenadian blood be shed fighting and dying in poverty. He created one in 58. And 11 years later, he created another one in 69, a Provident Fund. That was dismantled by Maurice Bishop. And these people today are sitting home in poverty. A lot of them have died in poverty.
Right.
The NDC came in 1990, and they gave them $50 a pittance. Micheal came in 95. He raised it to $100, and he should have done more because he did not do a very good job for the poor and vulnerable who supported him. But today, some of these people are living in poverty.
Right. But Michael, what I'm saying is
Hello?
the $22 million versus the possibility of 3 times as much going to court. Did Grenada actually isn't that a benefit?
Junior, you are engaged in deductive reasoning. That is it's a presumption.
Well, I'm just asking the question, did we actually gain?
Based on the facts, listen to me. based on the facts, with that investor, which Kem today have reclassified as a legitimate investor, based on the facts that led to this international settlement dispute, the Grenadian people could have very well won that case.
Right.
But we chose to settle, and settle for what? What did we get in turn? We got a shell. We can't say we get lands, because whether we lose or not, the land still belongs to us. You can't go with the land. But I'm saying to you, how do we reconcile? How do we reconcile giving white fly-by-night investors millions of dollars of our money, and on the other hand, we turn around and we're taking away $150 from the very same people who helped to get our independence, who
Right.
work on the estates and never got a pension out of the short-sightedness of the same person you're talking about, the late great Maurice Bishop, because he's the one who dismantled the Provident Fund. He's the one who caused thousands of Grenadians to die in poverty.
Right.
The same Maurice Bishop you want to highlight in your independence. He's the one who caused thousands of Grenadians to die in poverty when he dismantled the Pension and Gratuity Act. And thank God, Deacon came and he obeyed the court order and he gave them what's due to them. But a lot of them have died without receiving their rightful pension.
Right.
So how will we reconcile that?
Right.
I would have to roll because I have to prep for my next
Yeah,
program.
came out of prep. But Kem, make your point there.
And Kem, trust me, I'm not going to say you're running from Baptiste, you know.
No.
No, he did tell me before he had a hard stop. He had to prepare for his program. So Kem, make a point on that.
But I swear
Well, for me, I fight for all Grenadians.
Hold on, Michael, hold on.
You're running from Baptiste.
No.
For me, I fight for all
Let me finish the
Grenadians.
point, and then because I want to just
For me, I fight for all Grenadians. Anytime I hear people talk about it, fighting for the poor and vulnerable, it scares me because the NNP has been saying that for quite a while. And at the end of the day, we have more people in poverty than before. But George, Junior, it's always a pleasure being with you. And Michael, it's always a pleasure being on with you. I have no problem with having a conversation and being on a platform with you. Thank you very much and have a wonderful night.
Okay, thank you, Kem.
One love,
Michael,
one
thank you
love.
guys so much. We didn't get a chance to speak about a couple other things, but I can understand that you have to run.
You could bring us back for part two, you know. Remember, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier had about 3-4 fights. You could bring us back. I'm ready.
I won't constitute it as a fight. I don't want it to be a fight. I want it to be a conversation.
No.
And I hope.
No. I'm only referencing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners out there are getting an earful and they would love to hear Baptiste and Clem exchanging ideas. And let me say, my utterances tonight is not on behalf of no political party, and I want to make it perfectly clear.
Right.
I want to make it perfectly clear that I, Micheal Baptiste, is a Garyite, a solid supporter of the Grenada United Labour Party, and a member and an old lieutenant of Eric Gary. Okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Michael. But I will organize a part two. I promise you guys that. I will fix up your video because people say, "Oh, why we don't have you on video? What kind of sabotage is that?" No kind of sabotage, guys. No sabotage. We're having some problem with this video, but we promise next time we go work it out. We go fix it up better so it could be on video with us. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you so much. Yeah. So that was Mr. Micheal Baptiste and Kem Jones, guys. I promise you, we're gonna organize a part two. We'll get them back. Because there was a lot of stuff that I was trying to get to that we didn't get to. But it was still an interesting conversation, exchanging ideas. And I would like to have more, I would have to love to have members of the opposition and folks that support the administration to have this dialogue, right? Because oftentimes, we have this back and forth fight because we don't talk, right? We have this misunderstanding because we don't speak. And I would love to have, the members of the opposition party organize a time, or they just say, well, you want to do X, Y, Z, we'll have a conversation, because I think it's important for nation building when you have two sides speaking, all right? So I put in that call out there one more time. Guys, we open up the phone lines if you want to chime in. I know a lot of people wanted to, but Micheal Baptiste was occupying that particular line, so we couldn't take any calls. So we're going to open up the phone lines now, 718-701-5720. Let's talk. Let me know what's on your mind. What's your thoughts on everything that was discussed here today? What's your thoughts on everything that was discussed on this program here? What's your thoughts on what Michael said? What's your thoughts on what Kem said? Do you think that, you may want to add your own point of views. We want to hear your point of views. It's important to hear other point of views. I respect everyone's point of view. All right, so give us a call, 718-701-5720. Let us hear what you have to say on record. Again, 718-701-5720. You could call on the WhatsApp. Let's talk. Let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Right Along Live.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money.
Kings of Kings 3 this Saturday, September 23rd.
The official Miami Carnival send-off.
Inside 178 Newport Street, Brooklyn, New York. Featuring live Job King. Job King. Looney Spark and Electrify. Alma Boy. Mr. Legs. Kush. From St. Vincent, Marlo. And Kemi. Representing TNT, it's Taladan. Not forgetting New York's top DJs. Hosted by Wiseman Redman. Start time 10 p.m. So get there early. Get your $40 tickets now at kingsoftings3.eventbrite.com. Kings of Kings 3. The baddest fest going down this Saturday inside 178 Newport Street, Brooklyn, New York.
Now, get ready to conquer the road with Zion Driving Instructors, conveniently located at 1782 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We are your ticket to driving success. We are known for and specialize in the best rates for driving classes, ensuring you reach your driving goals affordably and efficiently. Our expert instructors offer personalized one-on-one training, making you a confident and skilled driver. Plus, we offer convenient 5-hour classes and various packages deal to give you even more value. Ready to take the wheel? Call us today at 718-374-5678. That's 718-374-5678. Or visit ZionDrivingInstructors.com. That's ZionDrivingInstructors.com. Zion Driving Instructors, your journey to the open road starts here. Contact us and make your driving dreams a reality. Mention this ad and get a 5% off selected package.
Yes. Thanks to Zion Driving Instructors. Don't forget, if you're trying to get your license, right? If you're trying to get your license, you live in New York, you're trying to get your license, we recommend Zion Driving Instructors. They're based in Brooklyn, New York, all right? More information is in the description of this video. Check them out. And of course, if you want to advertise, promote your business or event, give us a call right here on Right Along Live. Reach your audience directly on this platform here. Guys, I promise you to have a part 2 on this discussion. And again, I am going to make a second appeal to have more of this discussion where people may have difference of opinion, because it's only then we can ventilate on both sides of the argument when the other side is willing to partake in conversation. And it, as you saw, it was no fight, it was no cost, it was no argument. Everyone got an opportunity to give their point of view. Their point of view at some points were different, and they will be different because no one person think alike, right? But the ability to speak or to comment or to give your side is very, very important. So oftentimes we see people don't speak and it builds up animosity. there is a pent-up, built-up animosity. So we have an open door policy and inviting more of these discussions right here on the platform. All right? Okay? This is my appeal again. Let's see if we open up the phone lines right now. See who we got on the phone lines. Caller, you live. Where you calling us from? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Turn on your background. Turn on your television or your whatever is in the background.
I was just about to turn it down.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
I'm calling from Toronto.
Go right ahead, Toronto.
Yes. I wonder which Grenada that Micheal was living in the time of Eric Gary, especially in the 60s and the early 70s. They left Grenada in the very early 70s. They paint him as this great man that needs this big recognition of being one of the heroes. Yes, he was the prime minister, a premier before he became a prime minister, and all of these different things. But from my recollection growing up as a child, even in high school, the things that he's done to even school children, and I experienced those things, putting tear gas in fire brigades and ambulances and spraying students with it in demonstrations. I went to SAS. In St. George's, we have to run. Some of us had to run all the way to GBSS for shelter from these sort of things. Students couldn't find ways to get back, like in St. Andrews that evening. The amount of damages, the amount of lies, the amount of burning of people's homes when election comes around, the degradation of Herbert Augustus Blaze, talking about sore foot and all of these different kind of things. When election time came around, people have to be inside early, who were back then GNPs and so on. And young people witnessing those things, Mongoose Gang, and all of these sort of things, and the lies, and like telling people you bring steamboat ship up Paradise River, this nonsense and this thing. Gary was an individual people liked as a person because he greets, very much like Keith Mitchell, to talk to and to greet you and to this sort of different things. He and my father were friends, but never supported him. They grew up together in the same area there, coming from Dunfermline there and Pearls there and so on. But the whole thing about it, when Micheal speaks about the hero that Gary was, I wonder where would that heroism, where did it come from?
Right.
I still could remember the things that we went through as young school students. Even some of us, we hear demonstrations and this thing. Some of we don't even know the big concept of it, but kids, we go.
Right.
But
that still doesn't negate the fact that he is known as the father of our independence, right?
Oh, no,
during the time of our independence, there was a lot of people that was against Grenada becoming independent. There were, in fact,
I was about to say that.
The night of the February 7, 1974, it was a complete blackout. So people actually celebrated that night with Masanto, as was described in history books. And there were a lot of people that was against it when he stood strong. So we cannot vanish away the fact that he is still and is known as the father of our independence.
And I agree with you, because give him props for that. Although I wasn't in Grenada at the time of independence, I wasn't there. Okay. Because I'm like 50-something years away from Grenada. But the thing about it, even when Gary got independence, based on what I learned back then, still a young man, young kid, school age still, and so on, because I traveled and went to school away. And when Gary took independence, he did it on his own. Grenada didn't give the okay for that.
Right. And a lot of people did not support it.
That's the reason why people don't support. He did it all on his own. And now Michael is saying that, but Michael must remember that also Herbert Augustus Blaze went to England also in order for them to gain that independence. He signed too. So what's about that? Gary did nothing for Grenada. Nothing for Grenada besides, yes, getting the independence, okay. Got it. And regardless of it, we were all glad, okay, because we're an independent country and so on. We like the word independency. So yes, we were happy about it. Not really happy, but we accepted it. But the fact about it, Gary did a lot of wrong things. I don't see where...
Caller, the funny thing, and your point is well taken, right? Your point is well taken on that. But I remember as well a program that I had about a year ago, where I had someone that came on and they said almost the same thing that you're saying about Maurice Bishop. His perspective was that he was incarcerated without any reason. He was known as a counter, and anyone that is deemed a counter, they was thrown in jail. Some people got shot. So people have their stories, and they may or may not support whether it's Eric Matthew Gary or Maurice Bishop based on their experience during that particular time. So you might say that Gary wasn't or did the worst or was the worst person or the worst prime minister or the worst whatever in Grenada. That may not be someone's recollection. Similarly, some people might endorse and would endorse Maurice Bishop, but there are so many people who have different stories that they don't support it because of personal recollection. So it's all about perspective. It's all about perspectives and people's perspective. So your perspective might be different to somebody else. But I definitely, I respect your perspective. I respect your opinion. I respect what you have to say. I respect your input as always. All right?
Okay. All right.
Thank you, caller.
That's what
Thanks again. Let's see if we can take a few more calls, 718-701-5720. And, that's sometimes we have to say that, everyone's truth is sometimes a different truth. So what is really the truth, right? What is really the truth? The truth is how you see things. It's the perspective. They are the core, which is the facts. And you can't run away from the facts, but some people's truth or what one person deem as the truth may not be the truth. It might be the perspective. So truth and perspective sometimes get mixed up in conversations. 718-701-5720 if you want to chime in. We'll take last call and then we're going to wrap it up. We are almost over time already. And my producer and them saying, oh Lord, look at the time. I am cognizant that we're running over time. I know. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So if we don't have another call, let me wrap up and thanks to everyone who support this platform, who share this platform, who put this on a page, who tell friends about us. We are growing exponentially, guys. We are seeing an increased amount of engagements. People are tuning into the program from all over and talking about the platform. Whether they like what they hear or they don't like, people are still talking. And that's what's important, right? That's what's important. People are tuning in and getting, whether it's information, entertainment on a Friday with the right trivia, they're getting something from this platform. And I am happy together with my team that we were able to bring it here to you. Don't forget, guys, if you need any type of video production services, give us a call as well. Multi-camera production shoot, we're available. The same number, 718-701-5720. Or you could inbox us, right? If you need any sort of video production services, live streaming for concerts, events, funerals, trying to put together a professional wedding, we edit and produce that as well. Any video production need, you could count on Ride Along Live to provide that for you. Again, the number is on the screen, 718-701-5720. Or you could inbox us for more information. If you have a business and you want to advertise, we are here. Hit us up. We're happy to send your business or your events trending. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. See you guys tomorrow. And also guys, if you want to be on the list for our when we have Women's Summit or Men's Summit, oftentimes we have Women's Summit, Men's Summit, and Battle of the Sexes. If you want to be on our list, so whenever we having those conversations, you could be on the panel, inbox us, we'll put your name in. Whenever we have a program in our Rolodex, we'll make some calls, and we know some people like to put their input on this this particular program. Men's Summit, Women's Summit, and Battle of the Sexes. All right? Thank you. Spice Chick, big up yourself, my friend. Catch you guys again tomorrow on behalf of all of our production team here at Ride Along Live. Gail, Kibbs, and our senior executive producer, Lois JJ. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Good night. Before I go, I got to tell you about this, guys. Don't forget, we were telling you about this event happening. The NDC Florida chapter present the inaugural gala, and that's happening on Saturday the 14th of October, and at the Floridian Ballroom, massive event. Special guest, the Honorable Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Tickets, early bird tickets are already sold out, so if you want to go, if you want to be a part of this, you got to give them a call, the number 203-998-8738. Give them a call, get your tickets if you're in Florida or if you want to travel into Florida. It's Saturday, the 14th of October. Doors open at 7 p.m. Yeah, those open at 7 p.m.